I'm Shay Russell from mining.com.au, and joining me today is Peter Bewick, the Managing Director for Hamelin Gold. Peter, it's a pleasure to see you again. How are you?
Great to see you, Shay. Good to see you survive diggers.
I certainly did. I have survived my first diggers. Now, I wouldn't mind touching into some of your exploration activities over in the West Tanami, one of my favourite places to talk about. You are currently halfway through an airborne survey in this area. Tell me, what are you looking for this time around?
Yeah, this is something that's really not sort of our mainstream. We are a gold, or set up as primarily a gold exploration company. But in late 2023, we identified a really interesting mafic, ultramafic intrusion that contained copper, nickel, PGE sulphide mineralisation. Something not recorded before in the Tanami, something quite unique. And these are relatively difficult sort of intrusions to identify, to find mineralisation in these sort of style intrusions. They're rare, they're small, but they can be very, very valuable. So it was something that popped up in a gold exploration program. My exploration manager on the rig recognised it and saw the significance of it. And this is the sort of the next stage in evaluating that opportunity.
You pointed out that these are rare and sometimes hard to identify. So what is it about these intrusions that stood out to you?
Well, the thing that really stood out to us was the mineralisation. We actually saw copper sulphides, we saw the nickel sulphides, and that is what's rare about these things. They're not, these sort of style of intrusions do occur over large areas, but to get one mineralised is quite it can sometimes be like a 1 in 100 type occurrence. So to find the mineralisation first up in the first hole that was not targeted, that was what's quite unique about this opportunity. We often see them occur in clusters or regions around the world, things like Voisey's Bay, things like the Nova discovery that Sirius made in the eastern side of Kalgoorlie there. They are quite unique, they're quite high value as mentioned before, but to see the mineralisation in a hole without actually targeting it and actually using some geophysics, which is very common in this sort of style of mineralisation, that was what was really quite unique for us.
Now, I know gold is what took you out to the Tanami, and you're currently looking for a nickel copper PGE project. This project is a little bit of a divergence away from your primary focus, which is gold. And I know this is what took you out into the Tanami, but are you pursuing it because you're really explorers at heart?
Absolutely. Now, when you go exploring in an area that is really, the geology is so poorly understood and poorly explored, anything's possible. And I think when you come across something that needs to be explained, you need to understand it. It's the right thing by your shareholders to go out there and see. Maybe it's fortuitous, but you really need to understand, is this a significant occurrence, its extent, and is it something that you should pursue? So as you said, we really are explorers at heart. You get the knowledge over your career about what is important and what is not. And this looks pretty interesting for us. So the application of the airborne EM is something that can take us, it's a reasonably binary test in this sort of environment. Anomalies generated through the survey are likely to be things that we want to follow up very rapidly. And the chances of them being sort of hidden sulphide occurrences is, in my opinion, pretty high. So it's very, as I said, it's a rare sort of thing to come across, but I think we've got a technology and I've got a project that can really be almost a binary test with the use of the airborne EM.
Now, this does sound terribly exciting. And as I said at the start of today's conversation, you are halfway through this survey. Tell me, when do we get a look at these results?
Yeah, well, preliminary data gets looked at sort of almost every night when we get downloads from the contractors. But it takes about 3 to 4 weeks to provide final data. Now, that will, again, be something that we're very eagerly await, because the preliminary stuff doesn't always pick up some of these somewhat subtle features. So probably 4 weeks, but we'll be potentially doing infill as we go, or maybe even planning exploration work before then. So I'm looking forward to even seeing the preliminary stuff.
So am I, and I know the Tanami is one of the last frontiers when it comes to exploration. Listen, Peter, it was an absolute pleasure to see you outside of diggers, and I look forward to future updates on this.
Thanks, Shay. See you then.